in May 2016, I had the pleasure of being invited by a fellow animal communicator who had trained with me, Kathy Collin, to Athens in Greece. The purpose was to teach animal communication, and she had arranged a group of students to join us at the most remarkable place that was life-changing, really, for me and for many other people. And it is a place called Hippolysis, and it is in Marathon, which is about an hour away from the centre of Athens by car. Most of you know about the town of Marathon as being the source of the original sport of marathon running. Now, Hippolysis is a ranch, a farm, a ranch, and a training centre and a therapy centre for something very special called equine-assisted therapy. It was started by a remarkable lady I had the great pleasure to meet and spend a little time with, called Dr. Nikki Marcogianni. Now, Nikki is a neurologist, a psychiatrist, and a psychotherapist, so a very clever lady. And Nikki has a great love of horses, and the story began, so she explained to me, with one horse that she had heard that it was going to be destroyed. It was no longer fit for racing, and so it was going to be destroyed, and she mustered up everything she could to rescue this horse. And so she found, after an amount of time, the ranch in Marathon. But she started getting more and more horses that needed rescuing. Now, the beauty of Hippolysis is that the animals live there to have a very free life. The horses are not to be ridden. It's not that they can't be and never are ridden, but they are not a riding school. They are there to have a good life and a natural life, as natural as possible. Hippolysis is a very beautiful place. It's very peaceful. And at the time when I visited, there were somewhere in the region of about 20 horses, 3 or 4 donkeys, a couple of ponies, and lots of chickens and cats and dogs and ducks and geese. It was an amazing place to go to, surrounded by all these animals. What is amazing about equine-assisted therapy is that the horses are the healers for humans. And that's what's so special about the place. And Nikki had discovered, and with all her experience as a psychotherapist, neurologist, and psychiatrist, that the equine-assisted therapy was incredibly beneficial to people who needed emotional support and therapy. So she qualified, she trained and she qualified as an equine-assisted therapist. And she then introduced it to the horses. Now, what is equine-assisted therapy? Well, there is a lot about it on the internet if you want to Google it. But basically, as I said before, the horses are the healers. What is fascinating about this is you never know the names of the horses. Because once you have a name there, you have all sorts of associations. You know, if the horse is called Dancer, you're going to think it's quite lively, perhaps, or skittish, perhaps, even, I don't know. You could form all sorts of associations with your subconscious. The idea is that this is pure consciousness to consciousness that heals. And it is absolutely remarkable. It is a therapeutic technique, and it is absolutely wonderful. So what happens? The therapists there are trained, and somebody who is having a lot of emotional problems would come along to the ranch, and then they would be shown how to be around the horses. Now, there are various techniques which are very similar in animal communication, which means being present, being conscious, being of no thought, being mindful of thought. Now, the therapists there will spend a bit of time with the people who have come for healing, teaching them how to be around the horses. There is absolutely great respect and importance placed on the fact that these animals are here just to live their lives. And if they don't want to work with you, we respect that. It may be they'll work with you another day. But if you like, the patient, let's call them the patient who has come for help, with the help of the therapists, will be introduced to the horses from a distance. Then they will be taught techniques to bring themselves into the present moment, to change their mental thought patterns of distress, disorder, human thought patterns into just being totally at one with the animals, with the horses, with themselves, with nature. It's a very specific process and it works extremely well. At the right time, that patient is then, with the assistance of a therapist, introduced to the field with the horses, and at the right moment is then encouraged to invite a horse to come forward for healing. Healing for them. The horse is the healer. So invite the healer horse to come forward to them. Now, it's so important that there is no expectation. But after an amount of time, maybe one, two, maybe a group, or maybe just one will come forward. And then the patient is encouraged, with the therapist in the background for privacy reasons, to tell the horse. Tell the horse your secrets. Tell the horse what's on your mind. And the results are phenomenal. We see the behaviors change. Sometimes the horse is head to head with the human. Sometimes they just stay by the side of them. But what's crucial here is that the horse will never tell your secrets. And there is a great relationship that is built up between the healer horse and the patient. If you think about it, perhaps you may have an emotional problem, issue, relationship issue that you would go to seek counseling for in your life, and you would go to a professional counselor. For most people, that's fine. But you still have that aspect within you of deciding what you're going to reveal about yourself. We are still concerned with what someone else thinks of us. The horse isn't. The horse accepts you exactly as you are. And so you are able to talk, to cry, to say to the horse, knowing it won't reveal anything about what you said or pass any judgment on you whatsoever, even though a counsellor wouldn't do. It is another human. But it makes a difference that it's a horse. And the results are fantastic. Some people will break down in tears and cry and cry and cry and release pent-up emotion with this beautiful relationship with a healer horse that they've never been able to do before. The results speak for themselves. They are fantastic, and it is a beautiful way to work. But that particular work was life-changing for me to see it in action. It was a great honor for me to work there, of course. And I think what was really remarkable was I got to meet all the volunteers, because the place is run by volunteers. I got to meet lots of wonderful Greek people who just love their animals and wanted to learn how to communicate with them. But I actually found that the techniques for natural animal communication and the techniques for allowing equine-assisted therapy were completely complementary. So the place is called Hippolysis. And it runs entirely by donation, and you can find them on the internet. Hippolysis, Marathon, Greece. And you can donate if you wish, of course, because they do rely on the goodwill of donations. And these horses are alive today and healing people because of the work of this wonderful, wonderful woman, Dr. Nikki Marco-Gianni. For us as natural animal communicators, it is a fantastic example of the cooperation, of the communication between animals and humans. There's something we often come across, and that is the fact that humans believe that they have a superior consciousness, a superior ability and a mastery of the world. And of course we know that's ridiculous. We're all guests in this world, equal guests in this world. At Hippolysis, the horses are the ones who show us the way. And so here we have an example of healing being communicated by an animal to the human, rather than us thinking we're the ones that have to look after them and give them healing. It is a mutual cooperation. It is a fabulous place to visit, and the whole concept is just pure and beautiful.